X stands today as a monument of free speech, or does it? In these chaotic times and political struggles, X claims to be such a monument, but one is not always what one claims to be. It is clear now that this monument is no more than a disillusioned apparatus of a new power. Here we find the essence of hypocrisy exposed, an entity brazenly accepting premium fees from users who are only silenced under the guise of enforcing bizarre ultra-right standards. The image presented here serves as a chilling testament to the insidious practices of this platform. The foreboding dark screen issues an ominous proclamation. Your voice, your presence, is deemed disruptive. What have I done to warrant this label of infamy? Merely held opinions that diverge from X's tacit endorsement of ultra-right-wing dogma. They shroud their actions in the language of platform manipulation, but the reality is a calculated effort to suppress dissent, to mold public discourse into a monolithic echo chamber. They have imposed increasingly more strict restrictions, erasing any trace of diversity in thought, and all while clutching their precious subscription fees. Platform X, a symposium of individuals pitting intellect against power, malevolence, and authority. Yet here in this hyper-real space dawns a new form of tyranny, where a semblance of freedom is purchased, only to be stolen back at the whim of an insidious overlord, consumed by an insatiable and vulgar type of African testosterone and a very small mind. And so the charade continues, a monotonous farce where freedom of expression is limited by the very platform that claims to champion it. The shame of Twitter lies not in its rebranding to the ultra-testosterone-hungry right, and not in silencing voices of dissent, as it had done previously, but in doing so whilst masquerading as the single bastion of free speech. Part 2. Plastic Surgery and MAGA. Regarding appearances, the women of MAGA are driven by a perverse will to decadence and deception in the pursuit of sexual appeal by means of, and with a misplaced belief in, the use of plastic surgery at a rate more than twice that of left-leaning women, being 45% compared to 21% of all women, respectively. Motivated by a desperate attempt to portray themselves as more beautiful, more attractive than they in reality are. A facade that clouds their inner ugliness of spirit, a dead offering to the decadence of our age, and an empty, misaligned pursuit of the superficial. A moral corruption often found in periods of social decline, as was the exact case in 5th century Rome. Such is the nature of their will, striving not towards truth, strength, and the sublime, but towards the shallow, the empty, the vain and malvirtue. As for a moment what this superficiality and misguided purpose demonstrates for a generation seeking direction, seeking meaning in the world. All this demonstrates for us the emptiness and hypocrisy of the right and illuminates their inherently deluded sense of self, their vulgar depiction of truth as appearance, and their overt moral decay. For evidence of all this, simply recall the appearances of such women as Laura Ingraham or Ivanka Trump, or alternatively, the appearance of Matt Gaetz at the RNC this year, for a male representative of this conservative obsession with appearance. Part 3. Does MAGA mock us? MAGA supporters have succeeded in making coherent to themselves the claim towards true freedom and at the very same time, a complete rejection of democracy. Be very clear on this point. A rejection of democracy is exactly the rejection of free thought. And so while MAGA claims that America never was a democracy, only ever a republic, they fail to understand the words they use in justifying and thinking through their position. Twisting history and facts and language to suit the moment, their one opportunity to crown their monarch, their superhuman illusion to power, yet one empty of substance and devoid of authenticity, a symbol of their own impotence and weakness. They ignore foundational principles of this great republic, which are designed to prevent the monopolization of power, designed to protect the people. Instead, they glorify a tyrant whose one desire is to impose his own will upon a nation, an already very great nation. A tyrant who seeks to bend this great nation into a semblance of his own image. They ignore necessary safeguards built into the Constitution, designed to prevent tyrants that seek the removal of free thought and dialogue. Tyrants that seek nothing more than the satisfaction of their own lust to power. Does MAGA mock us with superior intellect? On the contrary, MAGA demonstrates an inexplicable self-contradiction. MAGA is just plain weird.